Welcome back, everyone, to another segment of the MCR Mac and Me. My name's TJ. In this segment, we're going to talk about a 35-year-old person, guy by the name we'll say his birth name is Stephen Kenneth Bullnell II, and he has I guess you call it a stage name or whatever, of Destiny, and he's said some fairly provocative things as of lately. The guy's an ass. We'll just get right to it, okay? He's a live streamer, liberal political commentator, and an avid Trump hater, okay?
Right, that's the key, mostly.
Yeah, and he has put content out on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter X, Kick. I'm not familiar with Kick. But anyways, he was being interviewed last week. And, let's take a step back. Last week in one of our segments, I was pretty irritated by the fact that this same guy, Destiny, was celebrating the death of Corey Compatore or Compatore. I'm not quite sure how it's exactly pronounced. I've actually heard it pronounced both ways. Corey Compatore. He's the guy that got killed at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, okay? And they did have a funeral for him, I think, last week on Friday. But anyways, this Destiny guy was kind of celebrating this guy's murder. And that really kind of fired me up a little bit.
Well, I suspect that he's done a lot of drugs. And when you do a lot of drugs, especially in your teen years, your brain doesn't fully develop and you stay a child.
And this Destiny guy, one of his claim to fame, I first saw this guy. Every now and then I'll watch clips of what they call the Whatever podcast. I don't necessarily encourage or endorse it. I know Charlie Kirk's been on there a couple times. Candace Owens been on it once. Officer Tatum's been on there a couple times. Michael Knowles been on there once. But what the guy is, there's the moderator. His first name's Brian. He brings on a couple conservatives, and they basically have it out with anywhere from 3 to 5 whacked out women who are in the adult entertainment industry one way or another. Okay, and it's a different podcast, I'll tell you. Well, in one of these podcasts, Destiny was on there with his then wife, singing the praises of their open marriage and how great it was that his wife was banging other guys. Okay?
His business, I guess.
Yep, his business. The irony here is, as of lately, I guess she wants to keep banging more guys and wants to do it without him. So I guess they're getting a divorce.
Of course.
And she's a little cutie, she can work it, I guess. Okay. So that's kind of the latest backstory on this Destiny guy. He was being interviewed, and I don't quite understand who was interviewing him, but this interview did end up on his different platforms. Okay. And the person doing the interview asks a question, and I'm going to read the question here. You genuinely hate conservative people. Destiny's response is, very much so. I moved on to the political violence level or the real violence level when it comes to conservative people. Yeah, I think they need to be excised from my fucking country. They are demonstrably fucking evil people by any moral standard. Pardon, I should have given.
How much violence has he done?
Well, I don't know. At the end of his statement there, or at the end of the quote here, is by any moral standard. His moral standard and that's why I was compelled to bring up his whole
Well,
history with his
he,
wife. Is that the moral standard? You know,
well, yeah, he can't satisfy her, so others have to, and you know.
by any moral standard, you talk about warped ethics. You know,
Well, yeah, I'm going to get lectured about morals from this guy.
I just uh, Piers Morgan had him on his show and was basically kind of giving him a chance to apologize and walk it back. And this guy dug in. He says, "I'm not going to apologize." And then he proceeds to, and in a couple different interviews he's had in which he was digging in, he'd referenced Tim Pool. He referenced Rush Limbaugh. These guys can say anything, and I'm not allowed to.
You can say anything. No, he can say these things. And when someone takes his teeth out, then he can understand those are the consequences. I mean, you can go into a neighborhood in Detroit and start dropping N bombs on people, but don't be surprised when they beat your ass.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't lift a finger to help him.
There's Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks.
Yeah.
She's kind of said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what's that?"
That's another fine Marxist organization.
Yeah, really. But this Anna, she's like, I want no part of this guy. You know. I mean.
Well, maybe he's got a death wish, because we got nuts on our side too.
Did we not reference a few months ago, a few months prior, that Civil War movie?
Yeah.
It's this guy saying this kind of nonsense, that just makes that movie all that much more possible.
Right. He can say these things. He can say how he's not sorry and how he's glad it happened. But when he calls for violence, that's against the law. But he's out of California, right, where they don't have laws, or they don't.
Yeah.
My advice to this, I won't even say young man, because I don't even know if he's worthy of being called a man.
No, he's 35.
But age is not the same as maturity. Or I would urge him to keep his ass in California.
Well,
don't come to Michigan.
I'd be inclined to say, bring it, bitch.
Yeah.
But if you bring it, you better bring your A game. But
regarding his wife, Lumberg fucked her.
What's that? Oh,
Lumberg fucked her.
All right. That's all I got for this one. And he's talking about all the rhetoric, and what does Biden say just the other day? If Trump's elected, he's going to put them in detention camps.
Yeah. You know what? That goes to their narcissism, that they're so important anybody would give them the time of day.
Yeah.
Just stand at the freeway exit and hope somebody drops you off a fillet of fish, bitch.
I mean, I don't know how many years ago it was, but there was the video commercial of pushing Granny off a cliff in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Just
as I said in the last video, they always do. They always accuse you of what they do.
Biden saying that if Trump wins, he's going to put them back in chains, and by any moral standard. When I saw by any moral standard, I just,
shame on Piers Morgan for even giving this guy the time of day. Maybe we shouldn't even be talking about this ass clown.
Well, Pierce was giving him a chance to walk it back, and oh no, he was digging in.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk has demonetized him, because I guess you can be on Twitter X.
For the same reason and this is an old example they used when they did the Supreme Court ruling that limits the First Amendment, is you can't create a clear and present danger to the general public. The example they used back in those days is you can't go into a movie theater or any kind of theater and yell fire, where it could start a stampede and people could get injured. Same thing. Can't do it. Not protected speech under the First Amendment. I don't
This
wish
guy,
anything bad to happen to him. No physical violence on the guy. But I got to tell you, I'm not going to shed any tears if it happens.
well, like I said, he got my attention the other week when he celebrated the death of Corey Comptor, and I thought, man, what a real piece of excrement.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, I heard about Sheila Jackson Lee passing away, and I was certainly no fan of hers. I thought she was as dumb as a box of rocks. But you know what? The lady got cancer, and I don't wish that on a dog.
Well, and it just makes it that much harder for them to take back control of the house.
Right.
I'll be honest, that was my thought.
Yeah.
I guess that makes me evil and wicked by any moral standard. You
Right.
know, by any morals, I'm going to have a hard time letting that little phrase go. By any moral standard, you know. But that may be one of my little catchphrases. By any moral standard. Anyways,
Well, you do have a litany of them.
I'll to use your word, litany. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, a little bit of
Period.
inside joke there, everybody. But anyways, that's all I got. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you in the next segment. As always, be safe, watch your six, and don't tread on me.